Peace Internet, it's me Vani, welcome back to Lazy Vlogs. I did change my name here on YouTube to I Party with Wolves. Now I know some of you are kind of like, is he having a bipolar episode? Which wouldn't be totally inaccurate. The reason is I've just hit a wall, I hit a mental space, space in my life where I don't really want to have social media be so wrapped up into my life, the way my brain works, how my day-to-day goes on. I was so, like, everything I did, I thought about what people thought, I thought about what people thought of, my posts and my previous posts and my pictures and how frequently and just people commenting and talk. It's not what I feel is healthy. It doesn't feel healthy for me to, Davon Raymond and lights and broadcast it across the world. I don't want that. Now, that is my name, so if anybody ever says, hey, what's going on, Davon, or Davon Raymond, or Ray, or any variation of that, Vani, that's totally fine. I mean, I'm always going to be like, hey guys, it's me, Vani, so that's never going to change. But I don't really want to go around posting and, just blasting my name on every post I've ever made. It's just not something going forward that I want, it just is what it is. Back when I wanted to do, more acting stuff, and maybe in the future I could, but back when that was kind of like what I wanted my name to be out there because I wanted people to associate me with the actor me and to look me up on IMDb and all of that stuff. And it just made sense because I was trying to curate this image, But after a while, when I kind of stepped away from wanting an image and kind of identifying myself, Davon, with, this idealized version of myself, Davon Raymond, which again is my name, but it just feels like it's too much. It's too much. I don't think it's something that is healthy, and it's just not something that I want. So I really want to really change my relationship to social media. I think a lot of us have done this before. I've deactivated my Instagram. Oh, but you have that one viral video. I know. Who gives a damn? I don't. I really don't. I've had a lot of good conversations with people, recently just talking about life and, just what really matters, to these individuals. And I think about what really matters to me. And, that to me is just living a life that feels authentic and having boundaries where I feel I want them and not feeling, beholden to, an idealized version of what I wanted to be for a particular reason that I no longer hold myself to. So I just feel like, in a nutshell, taking the fakeness, even though I was never fake on the internet, I think if anything that's probably the reason why it's been tough, is because I put out a lot of personal stuff, a lot of the things I was struggling with, and I thought I could relate with people and all of that. But I want to have a different relationship, not only with social media but with myself. I want to have a different relationship with how I process problems and just understanding different boundaries and understanding really how I want my life to go forward and what it takes for me to do that. So, closing down my Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and all that stuff, does that change my life in a huge, massive way? Initially, not exactly, no. But not being on Instagram, not being on Facebook, not having people, look me up from high school or whatever, just not, because with the internet, I feel like, especially with social medias, it's like you can't just live in the now. You can't just be whatever you are today. You have to constantly be thinking about what was and, always thinking, oh, do I regret these decisions? And, oh, things were better back in 2018 or whatever, It's just, and it may seem silly, but I'm not all that good with, the compartmentalization, the mentally separating this from that, from this from that, especially when it relates to me specifically and the things I've done and the things I plan to do, the things I've talked about and all of that. So, some people, they're just perfectly fine. Maybe they're not even affected by social media in the way that I personally have been, but too much of my identity, the way I view myself, has been wrapped up in social media. So, I thought, and really I had a lot of options. I could have, just not been on social media. Like I could have just stepped away entirely, like stepping away from YouTube. I'm never going to do that because no matter what I call myself, I'm going to want to post, and interact with you guys. But, the way that Instagram works and the way that these other social medias, it feels like everything's a performance. It feels like everything is curated to be and I don't want that. I don't want that. The relationship I want with the internet is I go on YouTube, I post what I want, and then you guys can decide what you think from that, but, and I feel genuine in these videos that I make, the vlogs, the whatever. This feels like the realest, version of me that doesn't feel like I'm trying to, be seen in a particular light or, post on a regular basis so I can give the image of, consistency and all of that stuff. Like, this isn't a business. This is not a business. And that's what I was so pushed to feel. I needed to be putting out a particular product or whatever. And I don't want that. I simply don't. I want to make YouTube videos, vlogs, and just talking about things that are important to me, much like this video. That's really what it is for me. I don't want to be feeling pressure to do anything, And when you feel pressure to turn what you're doing online into a business and it's like your name, and you identify with your name and your likeness in these posts, it just can be really difficult when you're having hard times in your personal life, but you have to, post and all this crap. I think for those of you who are kind of parsing through the gibberish that I'm spouting, you can put the pieces together and understand that I'm just trying to process things in the healthiest way possible while allowing myself to move forward and really not be beholden to any expectations that are, unique to particular platforms. That's just the reality of what it is. In the beginning of my internet journey, I went by Peanut Gallery. I don't think that YouTube channel exists anymore. It was really just a fun, silly vlog. You guys remember the Harlem Shake? I was doing Harlem Shake videos with my brothers in the kitchen of our old apartment. It was just a different time, walking around brace-faced with crazy hair and, just puffy hair and just being a kid with a camera. Like, that's what I still am, even though I'm 30. That's what I want. So, but later on in my journey, I stepped away from Peanut Gallery, which is like commenting on whatever. I moved on to Relatable Rants, and I think I made a couple of other channels. Vani Online. I mean, I've gone through a lot of different things online. But yeah, Vani Online and, Davon Raymond and all this stuff. But one of the things I did in my early days was I Party with Wolves. This was like my, I don't think I ever had a YouTube or an Instagram with that name. I had a Tumblr. Called I Party with Wolves, and I actually signed into it, like 6 months ago, and I'm scrolling through and seeing all my teenage angsty things that I, was involved in, and, all the reblogs and stuff. And you know what? There was a lot on there, there was a lot of, that was a good representation of where I was mentally, emotionally, as I'm growing up through my teenage years into young adulthood, and, the different stresses that I dealt with. It really is, something that reflects where I was. And to now, want to revert or re-adopt or just reappreciate, where I was at the time. Yeah, I want to reclaim that name. I Party with Wolves. No, I'm not partying. I'm not a party guy. I'm really not, no partying or anything like that. But no, I like the name. I feel like it's a better representation of what I am wanting to be posting as of late, So, and there's a level of anonymity that comes with posting under a name versus your name, and I like that. I'm never gonna delete any of my old YouTube videos or anything. You're gonna see Davon Raymond posted all over the place on all of my old content, but definitely. It's the time for I Party with Wolves. I Party with Wolves is taking back over, and that's it. Again, this isn't like a bipolar episode or anything, or maybe genuinely it could be, and maybe I'll regret deactivating all of my social medias or whatever. But I think going forward, it's really for the better, for my head to be just better. I've spent the past couple of days, not gonna lie, not in the best of moods, and even though I'm talking to you all charming now, half of the charm is my hair being braided by a local salon gal who I've been seeing ever since I had dreads years ago. So, but why am I even getting into the details of that? I know it seems like I'm okay, because I'm really good at projecting okayness, but things have been tough. Things have been stressful. And when I step away from social media and I'm just watching Netflix and walking to the gas station and drinking Dr. Peppers, I don't know why I'm drinking so many, like one a day at least. It's kind of transferring the unhealthy behavior of being on social media to consuming sugar, but I would take a Dr. Pepper a day over the stress and constant opening up Instagram and feeling some type of way all the time, It's been so quiet. It's been so much quieter in my head not being on social media, not being on Instagram or Facebook, not scrolling endlessly. I'll open up Instagram every now and again. I'll open up the app and realize, oh yeah, I deactivated it, and then I just go on to watch a YouTube video or open up Netflix. I've been watching the Gilmore Girls like crazy. Anyway, what else is there to really bring up to you? Because I feel like it's been a week since I've posted a lazy vlog, so I'll just say this. You guys saw in the previous lazy vlog, I talked about how I did an interview at the local hospital there, and it was cool, and they talked about having a second interview and blah, blah, blah. Well, the second interview has yet to happen, and that's fine. I called, left a message, sent an email. I did my part. If they want to go forward, I applied online too. So if they want to go forward with it, then that's great. If not, that's fine. But it's just something I'm learning to accept, is that even if you try for months and months and months to get into the military, or whatever, you try to fix a friendship or a relationship or whatever, whatever the amount of effort you put in, a respectable amount, a pitiable amount, the point is, you can't control the result, and I want to learn to be better at accepting that no matter what you do, you can't control everything. And I would just like to be somebody who can take their hands off the wheel and just accept that, hey, you are always going to feel that drive to want to do something that fulfills you, something with meaning, something that is going to connect you with the life that you seem to want. And often that ends in failure, but no matter what happens, no matter how depressed I get, no matter how frustrated I get, spending years or months of, concerted effort to make something specific happen, I'll do whatever it takes. And when it doesn't work out, I mean, it truly devastates me. So I just want to be more comfortable with accepting that so long as you tried your best, that's a good thing. So long as you tried your best, all right. And it's annoying. Nobody wants to start over, 10 times in a year, but it just seems like that is the case for me. That's how my life goes, is that I try and it doesn't work, and then I'm sad, and then somehow I have a spark of life again where I want to try and it doesn't work, and then I'm sad, and then somehow that spark comes back. It's a torturous cycle. It really is. Like, what the hell? I'm getting really tired of this merry-go-round of happy, sad. It's really frustrating, to be honest. But I believe that is ultimately, if I can survive that, I will always be able to snap back, and I will always be able to look forward to something eventually. And maybe one of these situations will work out at some point. Hopefully one of these jobs. If the hospital doesn't work out, big whoop. I just applied for a car loan, earlier today. If that doesn't work out, big whoop. I mean, seriously, I just know that I'm always going to try. And it just is what it is. It is what it is. So, with that being said, is there any more updates? Any more updates to give to you? I got a pretty decent paycheck recently, so that was cool. Yeah. I don't really talk to you guys so much about romance, simply because I am a bit of an incel. And really, I'm just like a cell, because I'm not doing any activities that would put me in a boat of meeting a woman. Any relationship I've ever had was because I met them genuinely. I met them and they're a coworker of mine, or they're my boss, or they're, a fellow student, like back in high school. So, someone who I'm around all the time, there's a mutual connection, and over time it forms into whatever. So, but, the job I currently do is very much independent, and honestly, with my mental state as of late, there's no room for relationships. I mean, it'd be lovely, it'd be great, but it just doesn't make sense that would be the case for me right now, and I'm fine with that. I'm fine. There are certain times where I'm not fine with that, and then every other time I'm like, I don't even have a car, I don't have an apartment. You don't need those things to be in a relationship, but, I feel that I would like to have those things, so I can be more of myself for this person, whomever she may be. There really is, for me personally, a limiting effect, even though I always persevere, right? I have this mindset, and I think a lot of men can relate, when you do live amongst your brothers who are older and younger than you, and they've got kids, and, they're achieving things and suffering things, and your mother, you're living with your mom, and it's limiting, and I think the version of me, if at all, and let's be honest, I'm probably not going to date anymore, probably not going to get married, probably not going to have kids. It's fine. It's fine. But, if there were the slightest sliver of a chance for that to ever be a possibility, it's not going to happen here. It's going to happen when I'm moving, making moves, living my life, my genuine life, the one that I'm curating. That is when there's even going to be the slightest chance of that being something. But, where I'm at in life right now, it just isn't it. Unless she shows up and she's an angel and she can help me see my value and help me to, get out of this funk of life. And if that happens, God bless her. I'll kiss her feet every day. But, but until then, unfortunately, I think I just have to do that myself. Anyway, I really appreciate you guys. I really enjoy doing these types of videos because it's the lazy vlog. There's no expectations. There's no, fancy anything. There's just me and you. And I like that. With that being said, I appreciate you guys so much for watching and, staying tuned and understanding why I changed my name to a previous name, I Party with Wolves, and understanding why I had to close down the Instagram and the Facebook and whatever, because I can't have those things in my life right now and hopefully never, because it's just not, it doesn't work with how my mind works. It doesn't work. It hasn't for a long time. Every time I step away from social media, I feel better, I'm not saying you should go do it. I'm just saying, genuinely, this is what I've done. I'm happy, or at the very least, less sad. And that's pretty good. Anyway, I appreciate you guys so much for sticking around, and I can't wait to see you in the next Lazy Vlog. Until then, peace.